Okay, so I'm in the market for more Stanley signatured comics, and obviously, with his passing and the fact that he's just, a legend in the industry, probably, um, if you were to, I mean, there's a lot of people in the industry, a lot of great artists, a lot of great creators, but if you just talk about an individual with the most impact on the culture of comics, that extends into not just comics but movies and pop culture, that would be Stanley. So owning anything signed by him is obviously a value, and so I'm not going to knock people who have signatures by him, but I do want to point out that some of these shows toward the latter part of his life, his foundation was having him do these comic book conventions and events where he was essentially signing, hundreds of comics, without any rest, without, proper nourishment or breaks in between. So there's rumors that just the amount of events he was kind of forced to do, because he's a great guy. He's not going to say no, but um, that led to his health deteriorating and ultimately contributed to his passing. So I just want the community to be cognizant. Not all Stanley signatures are the same. In fact, I have one up here. This is your pretty standard Stanley signature. It's not actually a very nice looking signature. You can't make out his name. You can tell he's just scribbling his name to get through like a stack of books. And so for me, I would not want to pay good money for a signature of this quality. In fact, this even though this is a CGC signature book, this is sort of the what we're dealing with, right? Just a guy that pays money to get Stanley to sign, 5, 6 books, which get slabbed. None of these signatures look particularly neat. I can tell Stan's state of mind when he's doing the signature. Basically, here I go. I'm just gonna, go into signature mode and just. So they're not pretty signatures, and I'm going to show you what they look like. So this is what you want to look out for. This is a CGC signing event where he's signing hundreds of comics kind of mindlessly. There's no vigor or energy or, um, life in this signature. It's a dead signature to me. And so I would not want to own something like this. So I'm going to go through. I've basically took a lot of screenshots from eBay. There's over 5,000 Stanley signature products, mostly comics. So he was signing a lot of books. I mean, there's over 5,000, basically posts. I just went through some of them that were of interest. Now, so I'm going to give grades. A is like a quality signature, something he probably took his time on, or you could tell he was signing with intent. And then F, what we saw before, that's sort of actually what we saw before is like a D grade. There are worse signatures. And then I'm also going to point out some fakes as well, fake signatures on eBay that you need to be aware of, and I'm going to call out those sellers as well. So let's just go through these photos and I'll grade them, and hopefully you can see the signatures. I'm going to try to get my camera as close as I can. So here's one. This is actually a pretty good signature. You can make out his name, Stan. You can make out the N there, Lee, and there's a sort of a flair to his, iconic. The last E flares back, right? That line. So this is actually, I would give this like a B or a C grade, probably a C plus or a B minus. That's a really nice signature. And so this is something I would consider getting because it looks like his signature. You can tell it's a signature. This as well, you can make it out. You can tell, he wasn't rushed to do this signature, although it's not, as clean as maybe you'd like it. You can tell there's flair, and he had, he's not scribbling it out. So this is actually pretty legible. Your typical Stanley signature, I would give this a solid B. And that's the other thing. When you look at a signature, you want to look at, is it on a book that makes sense? Like if Stanley were to sign a Batman book, that's not where you'd want a Stanley signature, right? Also the placement on the book and just eye appeal. Does it have eye appeal on the book? So here is a signature that is a D, in my opinion. You can't really make out his name. You can tell it's rushed. Not the best placement. It's not. The ink is blue. All the other signatures are red. So this is a book that, even though it's a great Stanley signature, it's probably a great comic, and it is an Amazing Spider-Man. Looks like a variant cover. I just would not want to pay top dollar for it. So I think the signature, the eye appeal of the signature is very important. And I know for a lot of collectors it isn't. But if you're a collector and you like are nitpicking about, like spine ticks that are like a sixth of a centimeter, and you're nitpicking about variant covers where that features like original art, why wouldn't you also focus on the quality of a signature? I think that's important because it tells you the state of mind the person was in when they're signing the book. So hopefully you got a book where Stanley was in a good frame of mind. That's what I would want, not one where he's forced to do hundreds of signatures a day. Here's another one that's just a very, I would give this a D. I can't even make out his name. It looks like Solo rather than Stanley, so that gets a poor grade. Here's a pretty signature. Yeah, this gets I would say this gets a B plus. It's clean. The only issue is, actually, it's a good signature. I would give this a B plus, solid B plus, A minus. This one is a C. You can barely make it out. Basically, I look at it this way: is it? Can you just, obviously they're all his signatures, but can you make out his name? And is it pretty? Is it a pretty signature? Like, there's basically so if you look at this one, is just like, I would not get this book. First of all, the signature's like he's signed it where it's going vertical, like down to up, down and up. Also, I don't know. It's just, yeah, not a good signature. I'd give this a D. Okay, here's a very pretty signature, and I'm just gonna try to flip this around here. Okay, so this is an A plus signature. First of all, you can see he signed it with flair. He even put an 88. So back in 1988, this is a young Stanley signature. Not young, but I mean, you know what I mean, like, before he reached his later years. Just a beautiful looking thing, and that's what you want to see. So a lot of the pens, when he's signing at conventions and whatnot, oftentimes they have him sign with like a Sharpie. And so the signature, when he signs with a Sharpie, it really just becomes very jumbled. It's almost better to get him to sign with as thin a pen, and that's something you'd want to consider. Like, you may want to go with like one of those fine point Sharpies for people to sign with. I think that will produce the best results for signature, because it's not, you know, for people who have tight signatures, it's not, the lines aren't blurring or running into each other. So this is an A plus signature. This is something I would definitely want to buy or have in my collection. Yeah, that's a stanky signature. That's a Stanley signature. So if you look up here at the Stanley cover, that's the signature you want to get close to. You see that? That's a standard right there. Okay, Stanley. The L pops out, the stands, and then that line. This is far from that. In fact, I'd give this an F. And this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. These events that where they slab and everything, the witness. I, great, they witnessed it, but they also forced him to do hundreds of signatures, and that ain't cool. I'm sorry, I'm gonna piss a lot of people off because I know you probably waited in line to get a Stanley signature. That's not your fault. You did not put the pen to his hand and force him to that event. You're just a fan. You're paying to get a piece of Stan, and that's fine. That's fine. You're at no fault. But at the same time, we should be aware if this is an issue in our industry, where if you're just trying to make a quick buck, get stuff signed by him and sell, that's not part of the hobby. Part of the hobby should be Stanley engaging with you, having a conversation, signing your book leisurely. If he gets through, like less signatures in the day, fine. That should be it. But rushing through just to, and we're partly to blame. We are partly to blame. Here's a beautiful Stanley signature. So just like I said, it's a clear signature. You can read it. The lines are crisp and clean, and there's vigor in that signature. Eye appeal. This is another great signature. Boom. When you buy a signature on a comic, I would be wary of the ones that come with these like sketchy certificate of authenticity. It's almost better to buy a comic where you recognize a signature. This is like, you can't, that's like indisputable that's Stanley signature right there. Okay. So when you get a signature like that and it doesn't have a certificate of authenticity, I would feel confident buying this, just based on what I know Stanley's signature to be. And that's a risk, obviously, you take. But I would get this book, and even if it didn't have any stamp or certificate with it. The ones I would be wary of, if it looks really sketchy, like a ugly signature with a COA, that's probably fake. Another nice signature. I would give this a solid B plus or A minus. D. This is an F, and in fact, it is. I will say this. This is a CGC book, or I think it is a CGC book, but it's not a very nice signature. Just the S and T are off. So it is his signature, but it's not what you typically associate with a signature. It's kind of like he didn't put any kind of like real focus in signing. He kind of just spit it out. So yeah, this would get, that's harsh. I would give this a D. This one, there it is. So yeah, this is an example of, it's hard to spot the signature, the placement of the signature right on Hulk's head, and it's done in that thick, sharp, like silver Sharpie. So just, the signature itself is a D, but the placement and the fact that yeah, it just the eye appeal and the color and everything. This would be an F in my book. I would not want to get this as a signature book, even though it is a great Spider-Man versus Hulk cover. Just if it were in a different place and the signature were cleaner, it'd be a better book. Beautiful signature. That's pretty much what you'd want to see in a Stan Lee signature. It's got flair. It's easy to read. It's clear. I wouldn't get this per se. It's a card, but the signature looks really good. I would give that signature an A. Another great signature, Stan Lee. Now, he has different versions of signature. They're not all alike. Sometimes he has the E's connect, and sometimes like this version, the E's don't connect. And this is actually the kind of signature you like that I think if you were to sign like a contract or something, you would probably see this kind of signature on it, where he's taking a little bit more time to make sure each letter gets its due representation. So this is an A plus in my opinion, an A plus version of his signature. A, that's an A signature right there. Very clean. This would get a B, solid B. It's a clean signature. So this is what I'm talking about. This is actually, so it's a version cover. It's a sketch by Frank Miller. Frank Miller is obviously, I think, signed this book as well. And then Stan Lee's signature is there in the corner. So it's a sketch of Elektra. It's a very poorly drawn sketch of Elektra by Frank Miller. He signed it. Then Stan Lee signs it in the corner. So I don't know why this, like, that's just a weird book to have. And that signature is not clean. I'd give that a C, solid C. So not a book I'd want. Doesn't make sense. Avengers, I mean, come on. You'd want a Spider-Man book, if anything. Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, X-Men, those like older, like Silver Age titles of that. So this is not his signature. I mean, it's his signature, but it's not an actual signature. It's a sort of a kind of a, what do you call it? Like a logo of his signature. And so there's a lot of things with this sort of COA. I'd be wary of anything like that. Even though a lot of them are authentic because before CGC. So I just put it into context. If it's something, if it's like a comic shop or an event that has some literature or history to it, where you can verify Stan Lee being at that event, that's something I would pay close attention to. But that's a beautiful signature right there. That's what you're looking for. This is the A standard. If it looks like that, it's a good chance that it's, see how the E's right there, the E, and then he kind of cuts it off and starts another E and then brings it back. That's a beautiful signature right there. A plus. I would give this a solid B plus. That's a clean signature. This is an F. Again, we got that solo effect going again. Oh, this is nice. I would give that an A minus, a B plus. It's pretty clean. This would get probably a B. That's pretty good. That's nice. I'd give it a B plus. Yeah, this is nice. This is obviously it's streaking a little bit. It's not like a Yeah, it's fading and streaking a little bit, but the signature's clean. So the signature itself is an A. The pen and I like the placement. It's just kind of off the border there. I would give that like a B. That is an ugly signature. In fact, if it wasn't for that certificate, I would question whether that's a Stanley signature at all. My point that this kind of just is representative of the point I'm trying to make. Be wary of what you see on, because even though this is quote unquote a slabbed, that could have been photoshopped. You just never know. I would just be wary of something that looked like that. Yeah, it's just some. I would, if I saw this on eBay, I wouldn't even look at it. It wouldn't even interest me. Another book where it just doesn't make sense. Like, why Star Trek? Why? Is this the only comic you had at the signing event? Just because it's a Marvel property? Come on. And it's on Captain Kirk's like eye. Come on. That's a horrible signature, a horrible book to have it on. This overall, just why would you want to own this? If I owned this, I would sell it. I would sell it. This is actually I was thinking of getting this. First of all, it's Jack Kirby and Stanley signature. It's an older comic, but and there's no COA or anything. You can obviously tell this is maybe a fan. It's not the best quality copy either, but you can tell a fan got these two gentlemen. And then, so to have a Stanley and Jack Kirby signature on a book, on the same book, is insane. And thus would make this just, even though it's a Thing and Submariner book, not the most ideal book, but hey, they were both creators on this. So yeah, if Submariner and Thing are you're a fan of them, this is definitely a book you'd want to. I'd still want this book. And that signature there by Stan Lee, I'm just gonna enlarge it here. That's a clean signature right there. Look, Stan Lee with the flare, the pen. It's not the best placement. I would have put Stan's signature maybe here near the Submariner. That would be the ideal. But yeah, the fact that, again, these two legends on the same book makes this just yeah. Hopefully this at some point, if I get money, it's still around. I doubt it, but that's something I'd want to own. Good book. Also, not bad placement, but the signature's very janky. I give the signature a D. Yeah, that's a D signature. It looks like it's like stone. You can't read it. Another messy signature. That gets a C. Okay, so here's a fake signature. And this is where we get into our fakes, and this is the pretty much the end of the signature. I hope you like this content. I hope you also share my opinion on Stanley signatures. Maybe you're in the market for stuff. There's a lot of signatures out there, so I would just say if you see something that you like that was signed by him, and again, you don't have to follow my standards for signatures. Obviously, if you like chicken scratch and you know it's Stanley, that's all that matters to you, that's fine. But if I'm gonna invest money like $1,000 or something into a book, I'm gonna make sure I also have something when I look at it, I'm proud to say I own. So this is actually a fake signature right there, okay? And I'm gonna call this guy out. Sorry, this is not the guy. Where is this guy? Okay, anyway, this guy, I'll look him up, but this guy is selling basically a fake signature. Okay, he's selling it. That is not his signature. Okay, it's a very poor, yeah, it's a poor attempt at his signature, and it's fake. So, and look, he's got this sort of COA type deal going on. That's a red flag right there. But just the signature itself. If you're actually thinking that's a Stanley signature and you pay this guy to buy it, then you didn't do your due diligence, and I'm sorry, you deserve to get ripped off. But they are hard to spot. So, but anyway, I reported this item to eBay already. Hopefully they, anyway, I wish I knew what this guy's name. I think it's something, it's like, it's a Sports Card USA like seller, so that gives you some heads up. He's not a comics guy, and we really got to report sellers like this, so eBay becomes more legit. There's another seller, Rosie1819, and she's selling this comic, trying to pawn that off as a Stanley signature. That looks like my 2-year-old son signed that book. And so Rosie1819, hey, I'm sorry, maybe you don't know any better, but if you bought that book thinking it was a Stanley signature and you're just reselling it, girl, you need to check yourself, because that is not Stanley, and no one's going to buy that book for $200 that you're trying to sell it for. And also, I think you are also saying that there's a COA with it. Nice try. That's a fake signature. So again, be wary of these things, and post in the comments whether you agree with my assessment of these CGC signed Stanley books. That really a lot of them I just wouldn't buy unless I had a signature like that, you know, and a story behind some, you know, if the seller has a story behind it other than I waited like 3 hours in line to get my book signed. Those are the signatures that matter. So hopefully your seller has a story to share with you that you can keep with the book. Or if I don't know why, if you got it personally signed by Stanley and you have a story associated with that, why you'd ever sell the book, signed by him. Because, you know, at the end of the day, as a collector, you're going to regret having gotten rid of that Stanley signature, the one that he personally signed for you. So let's be kind of cognizant of why we collect what we do. If it's just to make a fast buck, then, you know, I'd love to sell my stuff. The stuff that I don't want, I'd love to sell it. That oftentimes doesn't work. So for me, I like to keep the stuff that I have. I mean, if I can upgrade, like if I have an 8.5 copy and I can upgrade to a 9.8, obviously I would. But a lot of the books that I have are books that I bought, you know, back when I was young and collecting comics, and this was like just a cool hobby and pastime for me. So without those connections, if you're just buying things to have them, then you got to kind of question, well, why are you doing what you do? Now, I will say this, I do want to buy a Stanley signature, and I do want, what's important to me is that to have the story behind the signature. So that's what I do when I look at these listings and it's something maybe I want to buy. I always ask the seller, hey, what's the story behind the signature? And you'll be surprised, they often provide very you know, detailed narratives to how they obtain the signature. And it's you know, for a book like this that has no, you know, CGC like slab or, you know, verification associated with it, but that's obviously a Stanley signature, and he signed this sort of you know, trade paperback. There's probably a neat story associated with this, like it was some kind of signing event and you got to maybe talk to Stan and share some, you know, connect with him in a certain way as a fan and as a comic legend. So that's what I'd be interested in. Anyway, I do have a Stan Lee signed comic, and I'm gonna be posting up a video of that toward the end of probably toward the end of the year later, because I'm going through my comic stacks right now, and so that's actually the that's something I'm gonna save, and you can see what that book is toward the latter part of my collection, because it is probably the best, my favorite piece of my favorite comic book. Okay, I'll just leave it at that. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.